Hey guys, this is Pennywise from Gamer Fusion, and I'm going to be making a video today to go along with the first lesson in my C++ tutorials. They're on the website, and I'll provide a link to them in the description. So all the source code's sitting over there. But anyway, on to the lesson. I'm using Microsoft Visual Studios 2008. You can also use Visual Express 2008 or 2010, doesn't matter. And you can also use C++ Dev Bloodshed. Both those are free, so it won't cost you anything to download. So once you have your developing environment opened, you want to go to File, you want to go to New, and you want to make a new project. And then inside of Microsoft Visual Studios or Visual Express, you want to expand the Visual C++ tab and get it down to General to reach the empty project. So once you're there, enter in a file location to save it at where you'll remember. And I recommend storing all of your lesson files together so they're easy to find. But as for the name, you can name it anything. I'll just name mine just demo. And go ahead and create it. So ignore the header files and the resource files folders. You won't be using those until further on. Right now, just highlight source files, right click on it, and add a new item. Once you've done that, make sure you select the C++ file with the .cpp extension. And something for Dev Bloodshed users, I believe it's going to be create new console application, and there should be a box that you can check that sets it to empty project. I don't remember exactly because it's been a while since I've used that. Anyway, as for the name, you can name the CPP file anything you want. I'm just going to call mine junk. So go ahead and add that. And now we're going to add our preprocessor list of files to add. So right now we're only using one, and this lets the preprocessor know that it needs to include this file before it decides to build and compile the program so it runs properly. Otherwise, if you use cout or endline without including the IO stream, it will give you some nasty errors, and we don't want that. So what you want to do is type in pound include, and then in opening bracket, IO stream, which stands for input output stream, and you want to close it. And now we're going to code our main function, which is our entry point into the program. Any program or DLL file has to have an entry point, otherwise it will not function. You will most likely get compiler errors, although I've had a rare occurrence in which I didn't. But anyway, for now we'll be using an int main. I'll explain the different types of main in another video. So for now, just type in int main, you're opening and closing parentheses, and those parentheses contain what's known as parameters. I'll also explain that later on. So now I'm going to add in my system call to pause the function, and it looks like this. Make sure you include the quotes, otherwise it will not work. And at the end of every line in C++ in the programming language, you want to have a semicolon. If you don't, you'll end up with a compiler error. So I'll show you that in just a second. And since it's of type int, you want to have it return a value of 0 or 1 or whatever. It can return any value you want it to. But anyway, if I build and compile this, it'll build it just fine. A window pops up, press any key to continue. So you can go ahead and compile and run it to make sure that it's working properly. And if you remove the semicolon from here, you're going to get an error saying missing semicolon before return. So returned right here, and I took out the semicolon right here. So it's giving me compiler errors, which is why it's very important to include a semicolon at the end of every line. So now let's code the actual program. And there are two ways to go about doing this. I'll explain both of them. So the first way, and the way that I use not often, is this. You put down std : which lets it know you're using the standard namespace. And then you can type in cout your output stream operators, which are these two. So it's a less than symbol, and it's never 1. That's a comparison operator for a bool function, which I'll explain later on. So it's always 2. And then for your message, you want to make sure that it's surrounded by quotation marks, just 1 pair. So you can add them in and type in your message here, or do what I do. Just type in 1, enter in your message, and close it off at the end. So let's put in my message. And then I close it off over here. And then because I'm going to use end L, I will need another set of output stream operators. So this basically separates one output statement from another. So whenever you have multiple output statements on the same line, you want to do this. And you want to type in std : end L, not to be confused with end 1. 1 looks like that, L looks like this, and I know they look similar. I actually made this mistake on the first time I made this program. I put in end 1 because it looked like it. So. And then end it with a semicolon. So what end L tells it to do is it tells it to make sure that the next message appears on a new line. So that'll look like this. So if you build it and run it, it'll look like that. Now if you take out the end L, it's going to look like this with everything on one line, and it will send the message off onto the next line because it's so long. So it'll look like that if you forget the end L. So let's put it back in. And now to get rid of the end L stuff, if you don't want to type in the std, this in front of every single operator that you're going to use, or function, sorry. You can type in this using namespace std, and end that with a semicolon as well. And if you put it outside of here, it tells it that it's not going to be used in just main, it'll be used in the other function as well. So I'll go more in detail about that later on. But if you use using namespace std, you can get rid of the std : parts, and it'll run just the same. Now another thing you can use for going to a new line is at the end of the text string you can use /n, which will do the same thing as end L. So I switch back and forth between the two, but just so you know, that's what it does, and without it your text message will look like this. So just remember to have that in there. And that's the first tutorial to go along with the first tutorial on the website. I'll include a link to that on the descriptions, and be sure to subscribe so that you'll get updated on new video tutorials that I post. And come visit the forums, sign up. We're trying to build a community here based around programming, hacking, and console modding. So I'll include a link to the website in the descriptions as well. So just come on in and check it out. And I hope this tutorial helped give you guys a much better understanding of the first tutorial that I have posted. And look forward to more.